Cool, dog. But yeah, so yesterday let's see, we're good too. He set us up pretty well. Yeah, I haven't. So I recorded in this studio. I've recorded in here probably 30 to 40 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I recorded in here was last weekend. And yeah, we had some technical difficulties at first, but yeah, we had to do audio only because something happened with the cameras. But we're fully set up now. And but yeah, man, I got a good workout in with Imran yesterday. Did some ice and sauna. And then shot some guns.
Good for you.
At the gun range. How about yourself? What'd you end up doing?
Man, big work weekend where I'm launching a program around a diet that I built called the Common Sense Diet, which I'm sure we'll talk about
Cool.
at some point in this program.
Yeah.
Tell me about, before we really get into it, what is this podcast? I went back and skimmed through some of your episodes. What inspired you to start this show?
I don't know, man. I think it was just a strong intuitive feeling that I felt compelled to sit down with people in a studio where you can have a more focused and intimate conversation and understand that person better.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty obsessed with watching podcasts, and I just felt the internal voice say, "You can do this."
Right.
And I can be pretty self-critical of myself, and I think that's a necessary attribute to have in order to consistently improve and then not become complacent. But I also do think that I've got some skill with this. So, and I felt that at first. So but I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, Chris Williamson,
the big three.
Yeah, those are definitely the big three for sure. I love how he structures his conversations, how he asks questions, his natural curiosity. He's very good at what he does. So yeah, man, I wanted to start one of my own. And I also was thinking about, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dan Coe.
No.
He essentially has created, it's called digital economics, and he's got a few other courses, and he talks about the future of work and how he incorporates the creator economy, and the future of work will be creators creating content and whatnot. And that could be true to a certain extent, but I think that the opportunity to have an open space where you can kind of dive into any topic that you want is pretty damn cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's health. I mean, health as a general topic is so many things: nutrition, strength training, mental health, relationships, finances, all that stuff. And then you can get into like just intelligent design of like what you believe is, the creator of the universe, and what you think, various religious beliefs, and all these different topics that I love hearing about. And I think, and then just hearing people's stories like yours. I'm really excited to hear. I love your clips, man. So I went down and looked through. I like how you how you introduce the video, and every single video is like, when I was fat as fuck, and then there's like you intertwine like a clip of when you were back in the day when you were bigger, and you have like recordings of yourself, and you're like, oh, I'm not in the right mindset right now, and then you jump back into like the present moment, and then you talk about specific points of advice or that you would give to yourself back in the day or whatever it was. And so I was looking through all those. I thought it was pretty funny. But also it's extremely helpful for a lot of people. I mean, obesity is pretty damn common nowadays. So anyways, that was a long-winded answer to why I started this. And also it just kind of naturally Squatch opened up when I was thinking about doing it. And the Squatch experience of like having people come here, do a workout, sauna, ice, shower, and then hop in the studio is usually a pretty cool experience.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
Well, I'm inspired, man, by this whole setup. My podcast has been just me ripping on a Blue Yeti and then throwing it through my $9.99 Adobe Podcast Studio software to make it sound professional grade. And it's interesting. I haven't come on video yet. It's interesting because coming on video for a podcast, I found is such like it makes hosting the podcast a little bit of a bigger deal. You got to plan it out a little bit more. You've got to do some editing, and this looks like it's maybe more automated with the switching than
a little bit
than most. But
yeah,
the audio only podcasts feel really different. I'm excited to get on video once I create a little more time for it, though.
Yeah. The audio. So I have done video. This will be episode 61. So I've done it for every single episode besides the last one, which is the first time it's ever happened. Because the video just got a little funky here. And though I'm still a small platform, I just enjoy creating short form content because at the end of the day, hundreds of people will be able to grasp like specific parts of the conversation. And then if they don't want to watch the whole or listen to the whole episode, that's fine. They can just kind of grasp specific moments of the conversation. So, yeah. But yeah, dude, I would love to hear about. So we met at Zach's Live a Great Story 10th anniversary, and you looked familiar. You said the same thing to me, and I was like, all right, well, you might be a Squatch guy, and then noticed. I think I've seen your Instagram before, and would love to just kind of talk about your journey. Are you from Austin?
So I grew up in the Northwest, Washington State, Spokane and Portland area.
Gotcha.
And I grew up as a fat kid. I was always a pretty fat kid, and grew up on a very traditional American diet of ultra processed foods.
A lot of people do, yeah.
Pop-Tarts,
purple ketchup,
right? Microwave meals, and just didn't really have any knowledge of. I knew that I was a big kid, and never really I played sports, but I was C team. I would come in the game when you didn't need the A players in there, and we were already up by so much we were going to win, or down by so much there was no chance.
Yeah,
and I got into my freshman year of high school and started playing video games really obsessively. So I'd never had any real obsession or any real passion or talent towards anything, and started playing thousands of hours per day of per year of computer games, and realized really quickly that this was the first thing in my life that I had ever been really good at. So I'm playing on this team that's doing these international virtual tournaments and starting to get really into playing with the same 3 or 4 guys, right? And it's so geeky talking about playing video games here.
I used to play a decent amount too. I played Xbox Live in high school, Call of Duty, and, Halo 3.
Right.
Those were the funnest. Like those 2 specific games, man, I could have played all day long. But yeah.
So I got really into it and quite competitive. And through this whole process was really inactive. Started to gain a lot more weight in high school. And since I was so dedicated to this, I just wanted to eat as fast as I could and eat foods that were as convenient as possible.
Yeah.
So by the time I went to college, I was like, okay, I really want to have the full college experience. I realized that I'm fat. I also realized that I can't play video games and have the experience that I want in college. So the summer before I went to college, I went on a diet for the first time ever. And I was probably 240 or 250 pounds at the time, maybe a little less.
Okay.
And I just started doing some walking, playing some basketball, didn't lift any weights, and just ate a lot less food. Lots of chicken, broccoli, and then just 1 piece of pizza instead of 4, right? So just really decreasing my calories, and lost 50, 60 pounds that summer. Went into college and had this obsessive personality that I had cultivated from playing so many video games. that I'd cultivated through losing a drastic amount of weight in 2 or 3 months in a way that wasn't sustainable. But I didn't have the knowledge at the time of what I was doing. I just was eating less and moving more. And I combined all of that with now I have unlimited access to a cafeteria, which is basically just Golden Corral on crack 24 hours a day. And I was in that cafeteria 5 times a day, just eating bowls of fucking chicken strips with Chipotle sauce, with ranch and gold, like the shittiest shit ever, right? And up until this point, I had never had a single fruit or a single vegetable literally in my entire life. I'd never had an apple before.
Really?
My first apple, I was 24 years old when I had an apple for the first time in my life. That's how disconnected I was from eating any fruits or any vegetables.
Even when you were a kid?
Never. We grew up no natural foods in the house at all.
Oh, okay.
So every single year from college, my first year of college, I gained 50 or 60 pounds. And then I got to summer. I was like, okay, I really want to be the cool guy in college. Right now, I'm just the funny guy, but I'm the funny fat guy, right? There's a point where obesity kind of becomes a part of your identity.
Yeah.
Like, how much better would my experience be? How much more access would I have to higher quality women if I was in better shape and felt better about myself? And I'm 18, 19 at this time, right? So I went and lost 60 or 70 pounds that summer. Again, came back to the school year, got a girlfriend second or third week of college, and I did this cycle for all 5 years that I was in college. I lost and then gained back over 50 pounds every year from 2013 to 2018. And by the time I graduated, I was 260 and never was in a homeostasis state. So every single day for 5 years, I was either overeating or undereating drastically. There was never any balance. And what that does is it creates a mentality and a relationship with food where you're constantly either feeling good from eating less, feeling like you're progressing, or you're feeling like shit from eating more. And it becomes quite obsessive. There was never a word for this, but in the last year, people started calling this food noise. It's like the idea of always thinking about food. And that's kind of what diet culture is. It's people constantly thinking about, I should diet, I am dieting, I feel good because I'm dieting and losing weight, or I feel like shit because I'm negating all the process. And it just kind of controls your life, right? So by the time I graduated, I didn't have a summer to lose it. I just went straight into work. And I was working this job at a recruiting firm, working like 50 or 60 hours a week and cold calling to hire warehouse laborers in northern Idaho for $7.50 per hour. So we were just doing 100 calls a day. That was my whole job. This job just sucked the soul out of me, right? And first meeting of the day was 7:30, like 8 or 9 months into this job. And I go into work. I'm 274 pounds. So this was my rock bottom. I go into work. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I fucking hate my life, man. I absolutely hate my life. I'm in a relationship that I'm not happy with. I hate that I'm still living in my hometown when I graduated. I hate that I play more than a full-time job worth of video games per year. So I got back into gaming after I graduated in combination with working a full-time job, in combination with this relationship that I didn't like. It's like, I just felt like shit, right? Everything was going sideways. And it's like the idea of having to change, like so much shit would have to change for me to become the person that I wanted to be, that it's overwhelming. And I go into work and I sit down. There's literally like fucking holes in my belt because my belt doesn't fit. So I'm poking holes in it with a knife, right? There's little rips in my fucking clothing because the crotch of my pants were ripped. Like, it's a shit show, man. It's the worst you've ever seen. And I go in and I sit down and I'm looking around at all these people that are 5 to 10 to 15 years older than me. Everyone's fat. Everyone's depressed. Everyone just looks tired as fuck. Like they absolutely hate their lives. And for the first time ever, I was like, holy shit, man. Like this is who I am. This is going to be my entire future. And started getting really lightheaded, chest palpitations, and thought that I was having a heart attack. So I laid down on the floor and at work, laid down on the floor, middle of all the cubicles. This is my most rock bottom moment. And I'm just, I'm having a heart attack. My boss comes over. He's, oh my God, we got to call an ambulance. After a couple minutes, I was like, shit, I'm not having a heart attack, but I'm freaking the fuck out. And through this process, I'm unbuttoning my shirt because it's so tight that I can't breathe. So I'm hyperventilating with this tight ass shirt on. So I'm literally gut hanging out on the floor of this cubicle, right? At 24 years old. And
did they call the ambulance?
They didn't end up calling an ambulance. I ended up driving myself to the doctor. And I go see my 400-pound doctor. who, right? I mean, this is actually my reality, right?
Yeah,
I go see my 400-pound doctor, and he
straight
goes,
up 400 pounds.
"Oh, massive, yeah." And he goes, "Well, it sounds like you're struggling with anxiety and depression, and the reason why you're obese is because you're anxious and because you're depressed. So what we're going to do is put you on this medication."
Oh my God.
And the medication was Xanax. And I'll never forget what it says on this bottle. It says, "Take twice daily as needed for anxiety." So I go home and I'm like, hate my job, hate where I live. My heartburn is so bad that I wake up with acid pouring out of my nose every day. I'm popping Tums like candy. Haven't eaten a home cooked meal one time in an entire year, only eating out. It's like, what do you fucking think I'm feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Of course I'm feeling anxiety, because the anxiety is a natural response for my body telling me that shit needs to change.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to numb it out, right? So I go home and I pop a Xanax. And I have quite addictive personality. I went through addiction with video games, addiction with food, addiction with exercise, addiction with women, addiction with alcohol. Now I've got Xanax, knowing nothing about it. And take one Xanax and I just passed out. And there were fucking Rolos, you know, those candies. I was eating Rolos, and I remember waking up and they were just smeared. I rolled over on them. They're all over my chest, all over the bed.
Intended.
I'm butt ass naked with Rolos, literally all over, like stuck to my chest hair. And I wake up and I thought it was funny. I'm like, that's fucking fun. I'm laughing like you were, right? Like I didn't think it was sad. I thought it was funny. And call into work the next day, take a Xanax. Just zone out the whole day. Same night, take a Xanax. Wake up the next day, look in the mirror. And this is the first time I ever took a video of myself. That's the things that you're seeing on Instagram. And I was just like, this is going to be your entire life if you don't change right now. And I threw the Xanax away, went into work, quit my job, was going through a bunch of shit with my girlfriend at the time. I ended up just moving to Portland, Oregon, where I didn't know anybody. And I was like, I'm going to go all in on this idea of trying to actually figure out how to feel good and how to be healthy. And I went into 6 months of really close to isolation as much as I could outside of work. So I was just high and by to my coworkers, high and by to the couple of roommates that I had at the time. And the reason why I did that is every single fucking time that I tried to lose weight, I would always judge my success on like how good other people were treating me based on how much weight I was losing. So what's really interesting about weight loss is everyone is constantly, "Oh my God, you look good. Like you look feel." That is such an addictive feeling, right?
And it's not just weight loss too and obesity. I mean, like even for me, I've relied at moments in my life on external accomplishments like this podcast, like the company that you work for, or other various things. And you kind of weigh the accomplishments on it's dependent, or your happiness is dependent on those external things. So it's not just, I mean, it can be a variety of external things.
Absolutely. Weight loss especially is interesting because when you're losing weight really fast, you're losing 3 to 5 pounds per week, especially in the beginning. So if you went 2 weeks without seeing me, you would see me and go, "Holy shit, you look really different." So it's really quick, right? And so I went into isolation and I set a goal to lose 75 pounds in 6 months. And I lost exactly 75 pounds in 6 months because I was quite obsessive about counting every single thing set myself up for complete success. And I did so by just walking. I woke up and I walked, went to work, lunch, walked. After work, walked until I went to bed. Outside of walking and eating and working, it's all I did. 30,000 steps a day. Quite obsessive, quite extreme. And
30,000, wow.
And I wasn't eating a lot of healthy food. I was just eating the right quantity of food. So I'd make a smoothie and then eat some protein, sugary Cocoa Puffs or whatever, and then like have 2 protein bars throughout. It's not like a healthy diet. I'm just hitting my macros, right? No fruit, no vegetables, no nothing. And no healthy meats. I hit my 75-pound weight loss goal. And now I'm living in the city. It's my first time feeling good. Not healthy, feeling skinny, which I had associated with positivity. Living in a city where I had no friends. And I was like, I'm going to go experience being this fucking fit ass guy that just lost all this weight in this new city where I don't know anybody. How cool is that going to be? And I'm out meeting people. I'm starting to make friends. And I'm the guy that just lost 75 pounds in 6 months. Have you ever met anyone that's ever lost 75 pounds? So that was like my attitude, right? I was 24, maybe 25 at the time. And I'm started, dating in this new city and just living this lifestyle that, man, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I moved. And I'm 5-6 weeks into celebrating and get on the scale. I'd gained like 10 pounds back. And I go, this is my life, man. This is my life. But at least I know my problems, because some people don't even know their fucking problems.
Yeah.
At least I know my own demons, and I'm going to be fat forever, because this is just come from a fat family. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I'll just keep losing and gaining. And my summers will always be really good. That was sort of what I was telling myself, right? And I go home and I'm on YouTube and I just watch this video. It's like a clip of David Goggins on Joe Rogan. And this was 2019. And I didn't know who Joe Rogan was at the time. And besides Fear Factor, and watch like a 5-minute clip about this guy going, and I lost 110 fucking pounds and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, what the fuck is this, right? So I go and listen to the podcast. This was the first podcast I'd ever listened to, and finished David Goggins 1 on Joe Rogan. I go, what a fucking bullshit story. But I'm going to read the book. So I read this book. It was the first book I had ever read, maybe since elementary school. So all through middle, high school, college, I never bought one textbook, never read one book one time, just cheated my way through school. And every single moment was towards video games and eating, right?
Yeah.
And read his book, the whole thing in one day, and went to bed and was like, I just don't. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit
Why
story.
do you think it was bullshit?
It's just the idea that this guy had done this thing that I had never done, and that I just couldn't figure out how to do it. It triggered the fuck out of me.
Oh, okay.
And my whole life, every time that I had ever seen someone that was really fit, I would go, yeah, but that guy comes from a family of people that are healthier. He grew up in a way that so I always had the reason why other people could do it, right? I grew up in a family that was on food stamps at times. I would see other people that had money and would go, yeah, but that's why they were able to fit. Like, of course they're going to feel they had fucking money and I didn't, right? So very comparative. And I always had the excuse for why I couldn't achieve the thing that something else had. And I woke up the next day and started looking things up. So I'm looking up these 100-mile races. Did he actually run these races? Was he actually fat? And I'm starting to research things. I'm like, shit, man.
Wow.
This story's seems pretty legit.
Yeah.
And if I can embody 1% of this energy at any point in my life, I would accomplish more than anyone ever thought was possible for me. Because at this point, no one in my life trusts me.
Yeah.
Because I don't even trust myself, because I keep telling people I'm going to do things that I'm not doing, right? And this was the first time that I grew up in a single mom household, so I never had any positive male role model or never really looked up to anyone. This was my first time where I was ever like, wow, that is something that I would like to embody some of.
Yeah.
That could be someone that can be somewhat of a role model for me. And I signed up to run a half marathon in Portland.
Okay.
I'd never ran a mile. I had like 7 weeks to train.
Which is what, like 14 miles?
13 miles,
13.
yeah. And, but I'm extreme, right? I'm like, I've been doing all this walking and dude,
You're extreme now that you watch Goggins.
Yeah. Well, I've always been extreme. I was just extreme I was always very disciplined. I was just disciplined in video games, or disciplined in all the times that I lost weight. I was ultra disciplined, like so restrictive, would never cheat on my diet one fucking time for 3 months, right? But I would do so in ways that were unsustainable, and I do it for the wrong reasons. So I was always very disciplined. I just never found discipline or balance in the domain of health. So I realized that if I just started running, then I'm probably going to keep the weight off. So I ran maybe 10 half marathons the following year.
Wow.
5 full marathons
in 1 year.
Year after that, I ran 5 marathons.
Holy shit.
Year after that, I ran a 50K. And now I'm just 2 to 3 years in. And now I've maintained my weight loss because I've just white knuckled it through fucking running.
Yeah.
People say that you can't out-train a bad diet. That's bullshit. If you run enough miles, you can eat whatever the fuck you want when you're running 50, 60 miles a week. So over the course of 2 years, I'm the runner. My identity has changed from the fattest fuck guy to the guy that just fucking runs and then gets cheeseburgers after he runs, right? And I'm like, I felt like shit, but it was this cool identity change for me. And I moved out to the Midwest for work, ran an ultra marathon out there. And now I'm thinking, okay, I got to get in the environment of where the other ultra runners are, because I want to run a 100-mile race. My plan was, I've got all these videos and pictures from when I was fat, because I documented so much of the process. I never did anything with it. My plan was, I'm going to run a 100-mile race, and I'm going to hire a documentary crew that's going to film the whole process of training for the race, running the race, and I'm going to call it 100 for 100. And I'm going to be the third person that I could ever find that has lost 100 pounds and ran a 100-mile race.
That's a catchy
Yeah, one of them was Goggins. One of them is this guy that made a 5-minute YouTube video on it, never talked about it again. And I'm like, I have a really unique opportunity to show the inside of the story because we've never seen that, right? And that was going to be my whole journey. So I moved down to Austin. This is where the people are at. This is where Nick Bear's at. This is where Matt Choi was just starting to come up a couple of years ago. And I was like, these are the people that I want to be in the environment of the other people that are doing this, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm in the Midwest, people are like, what the fuck? You ran a half marathon? I'm like, no one here, like people aren't running like that there, right?
Yeah.
I want to get to a better part of the country for it. So I moved down here. This was 2022 summer. And I signed up for a 50-mile run, December of 2022. Now at this point, I'm not eating very healthy. I'm starting to eat some fruits and some vegetables. Like I'm eating more of an average type of diet.
Yeah.
And I'm training. Most in shape I've ever been. Leanest I've ever been. I've got a resting heart rate of 37 beats per minute. And I'm like, I think I could run a 100-mile race right now, but I want to do a 50-mile race first. So I'm 1 week out from the race, December of 2022. I go into my doctor for a general checkup. And he goes, you're running all these races. We should check out your heart with an EKG. They just put the stickers on you. It takes 10 seconds.
Yep.
I go, I've had these fucking stickers on me like 20 times. There's probably not a point in doing this, but okay, sure, right? Because when you're fat, they want to check you out all the time.
Yeah.
And new doctor, I'd never seen him, 350-pound doctor, looks me dead in the eye and goes, you need to get heart surgery. And I was like, I'm so sick of fat doctors telling me how I need to live my life. That was my first thought. I'm like, I don't need heart surgery and I didn't need Xanax. This was all bullshit.
Why did he say you needed heart surgery?
He's apparently, this is what he told me. I have this thing called Wolff-Parkinson's-White syndrome, which is an electrical issue with my heart where I'm prone to exercise-induced sudden cardiac arrest. And I'm like, this sounds like dog shit because it's something that I was born with. It's genetic, yet no one had ever seen it on the previous tests. So I see a cardiologist the next day and the next day, 2 different specialists, both said the same thing. They're like, you absolutely need to get heart surgery if you want to keep running. So the reason why no one had ever seen it before is because when your heart rate is lower on an EKG, the waves look wider, so it's easier to see any electrical related issue.
Yeah.
When you're really fat, my heart rate was 2.5 times higher when I was fat because of the nature of obesity.
Right.
So nobody had ever seen the specific disease that I had. So in a way, I trained so much that they now had visibility to this thing that I had always had. So race is off. I'm training for 6 months. I'm on a 2-month waiting list to get this fucking heart surgery. Go get the heart surgery.
So you got it?
Yeah, I've got the heart surgery January of 2023.
Did you get any other like outside opinions on whether you should have gotten it or not?
Yeah, I saw 2 cardiologists.
Just 2, okay.
Yeah, and got the heart surgery.
Do you think it was the right move to get it?
Yeah, I don't want to be working out and worrying about just dropping dead, even though the probability is extremely low.
Okay.
The idea of having that thought isn't something I want to deal with. Got the heart surgery. 6-7 weeks later, I start running again. And it just, I never had the same intensity with the running. I'd get 90 minutes into a run and just feel a level of fatigue in the chest that I'd never felt before. And it's interesting because the doctors tell you that you make a full recovery, and you do, but it's not the same. You can feel that you had heart surgery.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some anxiety tied to that. But there's also like, it's just, you feel your heart when you get 2 hours into cardio. You do. And there's a discomfort that comes with that now that I had this surgery.
Yeah.
And I stopped running in February, maybe March of 2023. And what happened was I got really exposed because I had just white knuckled now I've had my weight off for 3 years, right? But there's still this deep-rooted fear of gaining the weight back because everybody gains the weight back the way that I did for 5 or 6 consecutive years. Yeah. And I had realized that I'd never actually developed a very healthy relationship with food. I was just eating the right amounts of food, but still quite obsessive about what I'm eating, when I'm eating, and it just controlled a lot of thought. And I developed a diet for myself called the common sense diet.
Okay.
So I found myself feeling pulled towards like, do I go keto? Do I go carnivore like Carnivore MD? Do I do any of these other like things that just restrict a bunch of shit? And I was like, I think the answer is in balance. The one thing that I never learned was balance. And maybe I don't need to be obsessive about exercise anymore. Maybe I don't need to be obsessive about diet anymore. What would it look like if diet and exercise made my life better instead of me just constantly having to fucking think about them all the time? And what it would look like is being more mindful around food, eating a diet of mostly whole, real, natural foods 90% of the time, and eating connective junk bullshit foods, whatever you want to call them, celebratorily. It's your birthday.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat a piece of pizza at your birthday if there's pizza there, right?
Yeah.
Versus going keto. Hey, man, look, I'll come to the birthday, but I'm sorry, dude, I can't eat the pizza. It's kind of like I'm missing out on the experience.
Yeah.
So I tried to find a way to create some guidelines for myself. And I just wrote them all down. I said, common sense diet, here's the 10 rules. And then a year later, I went back. So this was January of this year. I went back and I was like, it would be really interesting to go watch those old videos from when I was fat. I never watched them. So I just had I never, 5 years later, right? This was 2019 when I lost weight. It's 2024, January. Wouldn't that be fucking cool? Just go watch those videos. And I went back and I watched them all and I'm like, fuck, what an interesting way of connecting with the past, right? And started going, well, I think I can share these online. That would be really, I've never seen content like that before.
Yeah.
So I had 0 following on Instagram in January, and I just picked up my camera and I'm like, I'm feeling so much resistance to posting content on Instagram. And it's the same resistance I felt to losing weight and finding a way to keep the weight off. And what I realized was that everything is exactly the same. The same resistance that it takes to post on Instagram is the same resistance it takes to lose weight.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to look at this, and we're going to see what happens. I just posted it, forgot about it, right? Next day I wake up, no one fucking watched it because I got 500 followers from college, right? I picked up the camera and I was just like, when I was fat as fuck, I wish someone just told me to eat more real food, because I never ate fruits and I never ate vegetables and I felt like shit. And you can't lose weight and keep the weight off when you feel like shit. The way to feel good is to eat more whole food. So if you want to lose weight, try eating some fucking meat and some fruit and see what happens.
Yeah.
I posted it, wake up the next day, like 2 million views.
Wow.
I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm posting every day. Boom, boom,
How
million,
did
million.
did it just
3
get
million,
caught up?
5, yeah, million, 3 million, 5 million, right?
Wow.
Fast forward, it's been 6 months now. We've grown our community to 200,000 on Instagram in 6 months. Launched a podcast. The podcast is top 30 or 40 in nutrition, top 120 or so in health or fitness. And it's just me fucking riffing, no script. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just picking up the camera and just talking, you know? And it's been so rewarding to share energy exchange with other people that deal with the same thing.
Yeah.
And to meet people with the like, hey, food doesn't need to control your fucking life. At the core of what I learned and the core of what I share with people, my story is so much more extreme than most other people's, right? But you can take the lessons from what I learned and apply them to just make your life. The suburban mom that lives out in fucking Round Rock wants to have a 5% healthier relationship with food and lose 10 pounds. Yeah. She doesn't want to go on a 120-pound obsessive weight loss journey where she can't cook for her kids anymore because she's on a diet, right? And the fucking idea of dieting is inherently unsustainable. Like you cannot diet your way to weight loss. 90-something% of people lose weight and gain the weight back. The reason why is because who the fuck you really are is what you do after you hit your weight loss goal. Who the fuck you really are is what you do after you hit any goal. Who are you on day 76 of 75 hard? Who are you on day 31 of Whole 30, right? Did you actually learn lessons that you're applying to your life?
Yeah.
Or did you just starve yourself to weight loss, hit your goal, and then go, okay, well now I hit my goal. Now I'm fine. And then all your habits just kind of revert and they go back to the way that things were.
Yeah.
That's everything, man. It's not even about weight loss. It's about life. All of the lessons that I learned about life, I learned through losing weight and keeping the weight off. I learned through relationship with food. Everything I learned about how to make more money, make 5 times more money than I did in 2019. And I did so by recognizing the same fucking muscle in your brain that it takes to make more money is the same muscle that it takes to show up for yourself when you don't want to, when you to graduate from high school, to lose weight. And like all of these things are so intimately connected. My core message is that once you do the thing that seems like it's impossible to do, for fat people, it's lose weight, right? Should they have a complete belief that they could do it, they probably wouldn't be obese. That was my experience. Once you develop that belief and make yourself do it, even though you might not fully believe it all the time, it reorients your entire reality.
Yeah.
Who's to say I can't grow a social media account to 200,000 in 6 months, not knowing what the fuck I'm doing, right? Who's to say I can't lose 110 pounds, keep it off for 5 years after an entire lifetime of being fat and losing and gaining weight and lying to people? Who's to say that I can't write New York Times best-selling books, even though I never read one book one time until I was 24?
Have you written one, or are you in the process?
Not yet, but we are, right? It's that's how I'm framing things. Where's
the story?
Yeah, where's the line of what's realistic? And like, would writing a New York Times bestseller really be that much more unrealistic than what's already happened? Like, not really, right? No. And that's what I love so much about this journey, is what you learn about yourself and how it applies to every single thing. Like, the best thing I did, it wasn't lose weight. The best thing I did was really intentionally change. You have to literally change who the fuck you are, man.
Yeah.
You have to become a totally different person.
Yeah. Wow. Well, a lot to unpack there. So when, now that you have this, I'm assuming this is a full-time business now with your Instagram community, and are you a coach?
So right now I still work a full-time job as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we've got Instagram, the podcast, we've got a couple of employees, but it is a full-time business. I have 2 full-time things going right now, and we launched a community on School here 2 weeks ago. So I'm doing coaching. I'm doing one-on-one coaching right now, but my main thing is our community offer.
Okay.
So there's programs built into there and challenges built into there to help people have healthier relationships with food and lose weight sustainably.
Yeah.
Versus doing fad diets.
Yeah. Well, part of me, the reason why I also enjoy doing this podcast is because I can have so many different conversations, and I never really want to attach really anything to my identity. And I feel like I've kind of done that. We all do to a certain extent. And I'm wondering, like, how did you, because it seems like you were in cycles of having an identity on weight loss.
Yeah.
How do you transcend through that? Because I mean, like, you're in your Instagram profile, it's losing weight naturally, and I think it was losing weight naturally and keeping it off for 5 years. And I'm just curious, because some people, like you were describing when you were in Oregon, like you would go in the summer and say, I'm that guy that lost 75 pounds. And that's like a part of your identity, and it provides a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment and self-confidence. And then after a while, we kind of get used to that. And I'm curious as to how you've maintained that momentum. I mean, it seems like you're creating new goals with, the foundational, progressive accomplishment was losing the weight. Now it's like creating content to inspire other people, and then potentially doing a book. So it seems like you're still keeping that momentum. I'm just curious how you were able to kind of transcend through maybe a strong attachment to an identity that of losing weight.
It's a great question. We ultimately come back to whatever we believe about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you believe about yourself is true. So for me, it started with understanding what my beliefs about myself were. So my beliefs were, I can lose weight. I can't keep the weight off. That's why I keep gaining it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My beliefs were, I come from a fat family, so I'll probably always struggle with this. My beliefs were, I'm just big boned, pretty medium boned, right?
Yeah.
But people used to, big guy, big boned, like those all start to become a part of what you think about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Your identity is what you think about yourself. Your self-worth is what you think about yourself, right? And all of my thoughts about myself were really fucking negative. The things that I'm good at, people don't give a fuck about, and they're unproductive to life, like playing fucking video games, right? And I started going through this visualization. I heard one time that when you lose fat, you breathe it out of your mouth in the form of CO2. And I was like, that's fucking crazy, right? And
who told you that?
I saw it online. It's true. Look it up. It's real. And I realized that the reason
they
why
were serious when they said that.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. That's where the fat goes. When you lose it, you just breathe it out.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I started going through this visualization. This is something that I talk about all the time, of imagining everything that's wrong with your life. Let's call it trauma. Let's even call it generational trauma.
Mhm.
Let's call it I grew up with no dad. Let's call it I wasted my entire childhood doing nothing. Let's call it a lifetime of unhealthy eating and unhealthy habits. Imagine all of those traumas stored on your body as fat. And visualize, you want to change your identity. You want to change your self-talk. You want to become the person that you want to become. Visualize yourself breathing the fucking fat out of your mouth. You're literally breathing out that trauma and then breathing in the person that you really want to be. And you can start to see the cycle of like, you can heal yourself through losing weight should you just frame it in that way. And that's why I say it's not actually about losing weight. It's about the reason why weight loss is so emotional is because to lose weight and keep the weight off, you have to address every single thing that led to you being fat. And typically it's people coping with anxiety, depression. So you have to literally change your relationships to these things. And that's why it's such a tough process. That's why nobody fucking does it. Because we think that we're just going to diet ourselves into weight loss, but that you have to actually physically address all the reasons why you were fat in the first place, which are really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said in one of your videos, obesity isn't just a disease of the body, but also of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so listen, our food industry is fucked. Obviously there are whole food nutritious foods that you can buy and incorporate in your diet. It's available in the United States, but there's also copious amounts of just absolute, it's not even food. It's just junk. And I was blessed with genetics to the point where I could eat copious amounts of junk food and I wouldn't really gain that much weight, and I'm blessed with that. But I will say that I also think, there's trade-offs because then I would just be like, okay, I can just eat as much as I want. And you think that it doesn't, well, it never really crossed my mind about weight and whatnot. But when it comes to emotional and mental health, I can feel it. I'm pretty good with my diet. Every once in a while I'll have like chocolate chip cookies and junk food here and there, but you can still feel it. You can wake up the next day and your brain's like, yeah, you had a decent amount of sugar yesterday. But yeah, I did an interview with a gentleman by the name of Matthew Lysick, and he wrote a book called Fiat Foods. Fiat is a term that describes our money system and how our money system has created a certain downstream of effects for academics, science, politics, food, everything, you name it. And talks about the evolution of the American standard diet. It's fucking wild because it's not just this evolution of ignorance or trying to cut costs on business, so we incorporated seed oils or this and that. There is actual, that might have been part of the case, but there's also like intentional obfuscation of data that misled America and citizens. And so, I too, thankfully, you said you had a single mother growing up. I had a single father for the most part, and then, he remarried and whatnot. But, so I grew up with grandparents and aunts and uncles, and though they meant well, they want to provide and give you like a sense of like something that they didn't have. So they just were like, have as much candy as you want, have as much potato chips as you want.
Clean plate club.
Yeah. What'd you say? Clean?
The clean plate club. Don't leave any food on the plate because the kids in Africa are starving.
Right.
You ever get told that when you were a kid?
Yeah. Yeah. All the
like,
time.
How are you going to get the food to Africa? What do you like? That?
Right. And so, all the time we would go pick up McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. You'd go to McDonald's and play in the whatever playground that they had and get the toys. And I remember like as I was trying to focus on eating better, I was eating, what I noticed was, excuse me, I was eating really fast and unconsciously. I was very busy. My mind was busy when I was eating. And something that I also noticed it with other people that I grew up with. They were just eating really fast. And I was like, what the fuck's going on there? And so I've done some research on our food industry, not even just with the book Fiat Foods, but like Fast Food Nation, Food Inc. And they've hijacked our food. Like they've absolutely like hired scientists to make food more addictive, but you are not getting the nutrition and the protein to satiate yourself to a degree where you would be full. And that's with like French fries or ice cream and all these different things. And it was so delicious that you'd be like obsessed with mowing it down. And so I bring all this up because I too experienced the unhealthy, and I'm sure tons of other people have and still do, the unhealthy sources of food in America. And it has had negative effects on me. Because in retrospect, I've started to like unwind and see like this probably had more effects that I am consciously aware of with my behavior in school, aggravation, hormone disruption as a kid, especially going through puberty. Like if you're eating shit, having 4 Red Bulls a day, like that's going to hijack your hormonal system. And, older generations are going to be like, well, what, they're just going through puberty. But I remember some of them were like, what is up with you kids? Like, you guys are so like misbehaved. It's like, well, what do you think? I mean, the food has changed pretty drastically. If you look at the history of it, if you get a cohesive, comprehensive understanding of what's happened in American life, our media has changed drastically. We have technology like TVs and phones and all these things. So like our sections of our brain, our impulse control has just been sapped, and it's stories like yours and others that provides hope and motivation. Like David Goggins was obviously a huge impact on you. Now you're carrying that forward, and it's still absolutely necessary. You were saying, you mentioned, you made a comment. You were like, I don't think people have had as serious or detrimental of a case like mine, but I don't know if that's true. I think there's a lot of people that, obesity, I don't know what the facts are exactly, but I think it could be 40% of Americans.
Yeah.
And it's not just obesity too. I mean, it's autoimmune diseases. I mean, the meat mafia guys, they talk about it all the time. I mean, Brett was shitting 20 to 30 times a day blood. He wasn't fat. He might have been a little bit out of weight, overweight, but he was, his other parts of his internal organs in his body were blasted with negative effects. So, yeah, I've been very passionate about the food industry because I have reason to believe too. Certain family members have died because of potentially our food industry. And I don't know for sure. I don't have straight evidence, but something in my gut tells me that they could have passed over the course of just using certain products or consuming different foods that resulted in their cancer, whatever it may have been. So
it's interesting, right? Our parents' generation grew up thinking that red meat gives you cancer, salt is the silent killer.
People still think that
sugar's bad. All sugar's
and
bad.
Eggs too.
And eggs. And it's tough because we are really the first generation that seems really willing to change our minds on things and to intentionally grow. When you look at our parents' or our grandparents' generation, this is the way that things have always been. That was the culture. And a lot of that comes from social media. Now our opinions are changing all the time because we have unlimited access to media, right? So it's not our parents' fault, but it's important to recognize how generational these things are. And anyone that's listening to this that is obese, this is the hardest thing to hear because it's the hardest thing for me to say as a guy that was fucking so fat that you as a fat person would look at me and call me fat. That's how fat I was, right? But the reality is that if you are fat, your kid is going to be fat. Very, very, very likely. And if your kid is fat, your kid is likely to think at some point in their life, well, yeah, it's because I grew up in a household that wasn't, and there will be blame that is put on you most likely at some point. You get to choose whether or not you're going to heal this or not. If you don't, your kid is going to have to choose whether or not they heal it or not. If they don't, their kids will. Should they even have kids? Should you even be able to have kids? Because a lot of fat people have issues with fertility, right? And so much of this comes down to the food industry. But I also feel that everyone inherently actually knows how to lose weight. And I think it's easy for us to get caught up in this, like, the food industry is absolutely making processed foods ultra convenient, and we opt for convenience. What I teach is, how can we make whole natural foods as convenient as processed foods? What can we do to prepare ourselves and set ourselves up for success? But we all know, right? We all know that, can you lose weight eating at McDonald's? McDonald's is designed for us to be addictive as fuck. Can you lose weight going from eating 2 McDonald's cheeseburgers to 1 McDonald's cheeseburger?
Unless you just eat the patty.
Right. But
strictly the patty.
Visualize this, right? So let's say that you were 50 pounds overweight, and every day on the way home from work, you got a Big Mac and a large fry.
Yeah.
And that was just your go-to Monday through Friday. And there's a lot of people have routines like that, right?
Yeah.
If you went to just a cheeseburger and a small fry instead, would you lose weight? Absolutely. You're going to be eating like half the calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you will lose weight. Here's the issue with the food industry. When you lose weight by going into calorie deficit of still bullshit foods, you're going to be malnourished while also being in a calorie deficit. And it's a recipe for feeling like shit, losing all of your muscle mass, and then just quitting on a Thursday and restarting on next Monday or the first of next month, or waiting until the new year to start your diet again. It's really almost impossible to lose weight and keep the weight off on a diet of mostly processed foods. Very, very, very few people have ever done it.
Wow.
It always involves the transition to eating more meat, fruit, rice, vegetables, potatoes, dairy products most of the time.
Yeah.
That's the piece that's actually missing. But food, we're moving more towards that. We see people like who's the bodybuilder in the UK, Eddie, I can't think of his name. The guy that goes online and goes, just eat more real fucking foods, you fuck. He's got like 5 million on Instagram. And we're seeing like the Paul Saldinos that ultimately are just just eat more whole and natural foods, right? But I really think the answer for the modern human is actually somewhere in between. And I really feel that the answer is actually in just understanding that you should eat mostly whole natural foods, but also like, dude, it's your birthday. We can go get a drink. Dude, it's my kid's birthday and he wants to go to the fucking ice cream parlor. And I'm going to learn how to exist in the environment of these foods that were designed to be addictive without beating myself up about it, without having 4 pieces of pizza instead of 2. Yeah. So it's the combination of how can you make the switch to more whole and natural foods, but also exist in the environment of processed foods and eat them in not a crazy portion size.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually experiencing that as well. So since moving to Austin, I've been pretty strict with my nutrition, just my consumption plan. I don't really eat out that much. Eat primarily meat, dairy, some fruit, sweet potatoes, eggs. Me and eggs are primarily my
go-to.
My go-to, man. I'm a pretty simple and boring eater. And steak and whatnot. Raw milk, bone broth. And after doing that for so long and really cleaning up how, even like I took 15 months off of alcohol and stopped drinking coffee for a couple of weeks. And I'll be honest with you, like I felt fucking great.
Taking the time off alcohol?
Yeah, I still am right now. And you get this baseline of feeling good to the point where, and I think you've talked about this in one of your videos, where you when you tap back into like junk food or alcohol or whatever, you feel it that more viscerally. It just kind of hits you even harder.
Your baseline changes a little bit.
Yeah. So, but what I will say is that when I was eating junk food every day, having a drink, or 4, 5, 6 drinks per week, and having multiple cups of coffee, you're kind of stuck. I felt like I was kind of stuck in that routine. And I think it's this craving and maybe nervous system homeostasis kind of establishment when you're having those foods. I mean, there's a lot to it. For me, like, yeah, maybe eating, I would say eating and drinking alcohol were ways for me to maybe cope with certain things.
You're regulating your system through these things, right? It's the same as like when you scroll on social media. People think that social media makes you anxious. When we're anxious, we start scrolling because it kills the anxiety that we feel.
Yeah.
And then the anxiety comes afterwards.
Yeah.
Is that your experience with junk food and alcohol as well? It's like when you're drinking it, you're not anxious. It's like afterwards, you're like, fuck, now I feel like shit.
Now. Yeah. So I can see what you were saying, how, instinctually we know how to get healthy again, but I will say that it can be difficult without help.
Of course.
If you're, if you've just been, taught as a young kid, this is, or just shown like this, junk food, fast food, McDonald's, once you're at this age, let's go out, get hammered, get drunk. As soon as you wake up, caffeinate, and like these foods are bad and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, to try to unravel all of that on your own is extremely difficult, I would say. I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to get out of that unless I like was isolated on an island, and just had to deal with the resources that I had.
What was the thing that drove you to make some of those changes?
Well, I would say there was a compounding amount of anxiety and fear. And I just knew, like, at a soul level, despite maybe having brain fog and all these things, you kind of know, like, deep down, you're like, I could be doing better. This is not working. Why am I doing this? I feel like shit. Like, your body knows. I mean, I see the My 600 Pound Life show, and I'm like, I don't know about, like, some of them, I'm just like, holy shit, I don't know how you got where you are. But in a way I can understand. But anyways, to answer your question, yeah, I was working a job that had a totally inconsistent schedule, 60 hours a week, drinking multiple days per week, eating the wrong foods. And I had a lot of unprocessed shit that I just did not deal with. And so it was just a compounding amount of lifestyle choices and past early heightened emotional things that I hadn't let go. And yeah, there was a certain point, I think it was like, I was 25 and had a great girlfriend at the time, but I just felt like we both kind of needed to figure out our shit. I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I needed to like drop everything and just figure certain things out. So I made a decision to leave the job that I was at and this relationship and move back home. And since then, I mean, I've incrementally changed a lot. I've got more work that I could do, but we always do. I mean, life is constantly evolving and challenges are always there. But yeah, I think over time it was like there was a few moments that I never had experience. I mean, in college I experienced it a couple of times, but I had a few panic attacks. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Kind of like what you said when you were on the ground. It would mostly be. I mean, every time I had a panic attack, it was when I was drinking, and it was like copious amounts of alcohol, and I had never experienced. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like certain parts of my body would get tense and like lose blood flow, and my heart was racing, and it was scary. So when I experienced that, I was like, something's obviously wrong. And then yeah, I mean, on a day-to-day basis, I had a lot of anxiety, I had a lot of fear, and I was like, I gotta stop. I can do things to change. And I eventually found Tim Ferriss, his podcast. It was the first podcast that I listened to. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tony Robbins, Josh Waitzkin. I mean, there's so many people that I just fucking ate up his podcast. And I was like, holy shit, this is a new world. There's so many things I can do to improve. And so I I started meditating. I started eating a little bit healthier. Meditation was unbelievable for me. And when I saw that glimpse of like what things could be, that's when I started to drop, the relationship and work. I was like, okay, let me try to do this on my own, figure things out.
Do you think it's possible? It's easier to change when you're like really fucked up. It's like when you hit rock bottom, you're like, well, fuck, man. Like, I'm laying on the floor of this fucking cubicle thinking I'm having a heart attack. I'm 24, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're like having fucking panic attacks because you're drunk as fuck and not taking care of yourself. There's kind of a point of just like, well, I might as well just drop it all because what do I have to lose, right? And it's so, I want to hear your answer to that. Do you think that you can, what about the people that haven't hit the panic attacks from the booze or the people that haven't hit the floor? How do you think that, because we just don't see people take drastic change unless they're at really low points. Most of the people hit really low points, but so many people haven't hit the rock bottom yet. So it almost feels like, there are benefits. I always say, look, I bring it back to fat people, but let's talk about drinking as well. It's, if you were drinking every day, if you were dealing with severe alcoholism, and you always had, if you could just live one day in a non-alcoholic body, it would change your whole life because it would reorient to you what you could feel like. My wish to the world is that everyone that is fat as fuck could live one day in a not fat body because it would reorient your entire life.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you change without hitting rock bottom?
I don't know. It's funny that you bring that up. I was talking to Corey Hibbin. His last name, I think, is Corey Hibbins. And there's a specific short piece of content that I created, and he was talking about this exact thing. Like, would I have been able to be where I am if I hadn't reached rock bottom? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's just my body, my spirit, my mind, the things that I've gone through at a very young age that just prompted me to like wake up a little bit quicker, or I was just like really excessive. I mean, I could be. When I was in college, I mean, I could drink very excessively.
We used to do 48 packs of, what was it called? The Kirkland Light beer. Call them Kirkies.
I mean, we'd have Busch Lights.
Like an 18 pack of Rolling Rock on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
And I mean, like, I had other friends that would do the same shit, but like, I would just get into a dark place and they wouldn't. Or maybe they did and they just were able to hide it. And I could hide it at times too, but it got to a point where I was like, this is too much. And other people are able, like, I mean, I know people nowadays that still drink a lot and they're in their 50s or 60s. And I don't know. I think alcohol for them, or even food or whatever it may be, is their way of like suppressing everything. It's just so far gone that if they even try to like open up the bottle of responsibility and temperance and intention, everything's gonna unfold. Like I mean,
what? It's that, and let's like, what are we wasting our lives on? Bullshit, food, Netflix, social media, and alcohol are like four of the probably bigger ones, right? It's what are you hiding from, right? What are you coping from subconsciously? Most people might not even know the answer to that and have never even thought of that before.
It's so suppressed,
But it's also like
so unconscious.
You're watching Netflix every day after work. It's not I can't stop watching Netflix. Maybe it's not even I can't stop drinking. It's what am I going to do instead?
Right.
What are you going to fill the? I watch 3 hours of Netflix. A lot of people did watch. I don't, but let's say you watch 3 hours of Netflix. What are you going to fucking do with your time if you're not watching Netflix? Twiddle your fucking thumbs.
Yeah.
Don't have any hobbies. Don't work out. Don't really cook.
You gotta reestablish life.
You gotta become a totally new person. Like, it's not about just stopping watching Netflix. It's about becoming an entirely different person.
You're right. And I would even say moving to Austin has made it much easier. But I mean, stopping alcohol was difficult because it was the means to an end, or an ends to a mean, or
means to an end.
Means to an end. And yeah, I mean, starting off since the beginning of high school, that was what my group of friends did. It was either get high, smoke weed, or drink. And that was what sparked the fulfilling excitement of friendship, unfortunately. I mean, we did other things too, don't get me wrong. We played sports, we did some mischievous stuff and played disc golf and all these other things. But of majority of the time, the fulfillment came from the high or the drunken feeling.
When you started cutting back on it, I love the parallels between alcohol and food addiction. They're a little different in that the solution to real alcoholism is to stop eating or to stop drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
The solution to obesity is to stop eating because
Right,
we
of
have to eat.
course.
So it's a
Yeah,
little
I remember
different in that way. But it's similar in that when you start changing your habits, I'm curious, did the people that you were around that you were drinking with before, how did your relationships with them start to change?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's been an interesting unfolding. I stopped drinking for 15 months. Recently tapped back into it, and now I'm like deciding to abstain again. And I can get more into that. But when I came to Austin, for the most part, I just found friends that weren't really drinking. That wasn't their thing. So it made, like, I'm very grateful. My buddy Jay, my buddy Chris, Nate. Um, uh, I've got a group of friends. It's like we can just do other things that provides fulfillment and fun. And that was crucial to the beginning of just naturally not even drinking. I just, like, it wasn't even on my mind. And but once I stopped for a long time and I made it like pretty vocal, I have a family member that stopped and hasn't drank in 12 months. And it was actually like really heartwarming. I was like, because you know, I wasn't expecting that. And to see that moderation and abstinence was like, wow, that's really cool. And her character has changed and for the better. And yeah, even when I would go back home, there was a couple times I went to a brewery because I just liked the atmosphere and my friends wanted to go have a drink and I just had non-alcoholic beverage and I had a good time. So yeah, I mean, it was like when I went out with those friends, we just didn't get plastered because I wasn't even drinking. And but there's been challenging parts of it. So uh when you're drinking around a fire with some people that you care about, you're kind of on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I'm not drinking and they are, there is a different
You're missing
thing
out on
going on.
connection.
Yeah, there's a different thing going on. So I recently I tore my Achilles like 4 or 5 months ago. Was still not drinking at the time. And then I randomly just had the intuition. I wouldn't even say if it was intuition. Could have been like an emotional thing where I was like, I kind of want to just try to tap back into this with moderation and intention. And there were moments I went back home and there were moments where cravings did come back up and behavioral patterns came back up that I didn't like. And then there were also moments of intention and moderation that I was like, okay. But I can't help but get the feeling for now, at least right now, that abstinence is best for me. Because there are, I mean, like 12, 13, 14 years of just, of copious amounts of drinking patterns, excessive drinking patterns where it's still kind of there, despite me going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, running, really purifying my life in certain ways. Those patterns can still be there and could potentially live there for the entirety of your life. So it's been interesting because now I've reflected in retrospect, and this is like kind of the first time I've talked about it because I just got back from Massachusetts after 7 weeks of being there, that there is this attachment of like fulfillment or connection with drinking. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely beautiful moments you can have at like a wedding or whatever it may be, share a drink, champagne. But there are like multiple moments where I'm surrounded in those environments and people are getting plastered and then I get really drunk and I'm like, this just doesn't feel good. And so anyways, yeah, overall it's been a lesson of, yeah, like if you're going to tap back into this, like there's got to be intention, but also don't make alcohol the thing that is fulfilling you and providing you with excitement for this moment of connection. Like the true fulfilling energy that you should get during those moments you're around the fire and drinking with friends or family is the conversation. It's the content of the conversation. And like, it's not just the physical sensations that you get from getting drunk or buzzed or whatever. So, and I think that's the mistake I made as a young kid was like my fulfillment was the physical sensations of being buzzed, and you get that like loosey goosey, whatever it may be. So,
It's living for the moment instead of living for the alcohol.
right.
And that's the same thing I talk about with food. It's, I don't know what to do because I'm going out to this barbecue and I'm on a diet. Like, live for the moment of the barbecue
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy some of the barbecue food as an enhancer to the moment, not
Yeah.
as the focus of what you're doing, right? And it ties into this concept. I'm curious how you relate to this with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concept I created called Eat Mom's Apple Pie when she makes it. The idea that your mom's going to make you apple pie, but you're not going to eat it because you're on a diet,
Right.
is probably an unhealthy relationship with food.
Right.
But what is also an unhealthy relationship with food is saying, yeah, Mom, let me take 2 or 3 of those pies home, put them in the fridge, and have 2 or 3 pieces every day until they're gone for a month,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, there's a world, and again, alcohol and food aren't exactly the same.
Yeah, they're a little different.
But
yeah.
there's a world with food where, like, dude, sit down and eat a piece of fucking apple pie.
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
you want a second piece, sit with the discomfort of that and go, this is a great opportunity for me to practice.
Mm-hmm.
How does that relate to alcohol? Because I know people that struggle with severe alcoholism, like the solution is abstinence, right? So when you think about the concept, I'm so curious about this. When you think about the concept of like, how might I be able to go to the wedding, live for the wedding
Mm-hmm.
with 1 to 2 glasses of
Yeah.
champagne? Does that seem possible for you?
I mean, it's definitely, yeah. So I would first off say I never had severe alcoholism,
Right.
but I would just, sometimes there would be a lot of times where I just didn't know when to stop.
Mhm.
And then it would just cascade into going and going. But since I've abstained and really kind of built a mental, physical muscle of becoming stronger physically, mentally, doing tough things emotionally, I'm just more aware, self-conscious of certain things. So when there were moments when I went back home and I had a good amount of drinks, I was pretty aware of it. And also when I got drunk, it just didn't feel as good anymore, which was interesting. I was like, okay. There were certain moments where it was like, yeah, it felt good. But yeah, I think there are examples in which I was able to have 1 or 2 and then be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go to bed, maybe watch a movie or just chill out or do some work. So yeah, for me personally, I wouldn't label myself as a severe alcoholic at all. But I did have like somewhat of an unhealthy relationship, for sure. I would say definitely when I was in college and then a little bit after, and then it got better, cause I redefined my life. But I would say it depends on the person. If you're a severe alcoholic, you should probably just totally abstain. And then if you feel like your impulse control is not great either, abstinence is good. I want to get to a point where, yeah, like I could have one and then, just sit with like, it's not even discomfort anymore. It's just like, and I've gotten there before, and it's just weird how lately it's almost like I've like psyched myself into this thing where, because before it was like I could have a couple drinks, like, all right, whatever, and I would walk away, go home. But then recently, it's like been this weird lesson of like, okay, you might need to focus on this. And I've done ayahuasca a couple of times in the course of the past 2 years, and there are certain lessons I've learned that I needed to address, like certain, just certain things I was holding on to and whatnot. And so a part of me is like, did I need to like kind of focus on my past relationship with it and this attachment to it and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't even know if I really answered your question there, but yeah, I think it's dependent on the person's relationship with alcohol, whether they should totally abstain or not. And then I think it's a little different than food, but I think junk food could be almost labeled as a drug. Like it's just so addictive, and it's not good for your brain. It's not good for your mental state if you have a lot of it too. So,
so much of this is about controlling your environment.
Yeah, and which I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, moving to Austin, making friends with the right people, not having things in my apartment, establishing at one point it was a pretty strict routine. Now it's a little bit more lackadaisical, but yeah, I mean, that was helpful for me to truly feel really good about myself and my life, and the quality of my life uh, got much better. And so yeah, it's that strict way of shaping your environment, I think, has value. And then at a certain stage, you can reflect on it, and because like then you can get too rigid with your life, and you want to enjoy it, right? So there's a fine line and balance between that, I think, and that's something that I'm currently dancing with. So
That's inspiring, man.
yeah.
I'd be curious to hear how the ayahuasca journeys went when it came to. Did you go into your ayahuasca journey with the intention of wanting to better relationship with alcohol, or was that something that came to you?
No, but it might be for the next one.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm at a point where I'm like, I just don't even know if I need it. But I would like to look at the underlying, yeah, like maybe look at my past relationship a little bit more intimately, and like why, you know, I might have coped like using alcohol for coping mechanisms and whatnot. I feel like I've done that a decent amount, but there could be other things. Um, but yeah, I mean, in the past, my past ayahuasca experiences weren't really around alcohol. It was more past things with my mom dying and other stuff that I've actually talked about on the podcast a few times, but I don't want to be a broken record about it. But yeah, it was pretty. Some of it was like beautiful, and then other aspects of it are very difficult, very difficult. Because I walked away from a few of these ayahuasca retreats, and it's like all happiness and harmony, and then your ego can start to make it. You gotta be careful with like the integration process and make sure that your psychological processes are not extrapolating on what you learned and the experiences you had in just total weird ways, you know? But I'm thankful for every single experience I've had. I mean, it was unbelievable. But yeah.
So where do you see yourself taking this podcast? You're 60 something episodes in.
Yeah, you know, I just enjoy listening to people's stories like yours, and I don't know where like at one point I was like dead on with making it something that it was going to be like for the rest of my life, and at other points I'm like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, there doesn't have to be this attachment to doing it. It could evolve into something else. So until maybe I get sick of it, we'll see. But I just enjoy conversing and then sharing these stories and these lessons and these insights and pieces of knowledge and wisdom with other people. I had a really, like during COVID, I just felt compelled to like, I need to I feel like I can use some of my natural talents to try to make the world a better place. And you gotta be crystal clear on what that means, making the world a better place, because, you know, good intentions can pave the road to hell. And so you want to make sure that you're constantly reassessing your actions and your ways of thinking and perspective. And so for me, yeah, I think for now the podcast is something that I wish to do as a side project. And then if it becomes something that's meant to be like a full-time like revenue generating thing, then that's great. But for now, I just enjoy having these types of conversations. So
I love that.
where do you see yourself with your business? So I know you said you were working a separate job full time, but do you want to potentially be like a coach for people that are struggling with obesity or weight control like you did?
Yeah. So right now we have an online community outside of Instagram that has about 100 people in it.
Okay.
That are in there that has coaching programs built in. The plan is to continue to grow that over the next few months, and then to step into full-time, maybe I shouldn't say full-time, but to step into authoring. So I'm going to be writing a book called The Common Sense Diet. It's going to be your guide to navigating sustainable weight loss and food noise in 2025.
Cool.
And then I'm going to write into writing my own story in a book as well.
Dude, I think people love that personal story. So.
Yeah, so those will be my 2 projects for next year. And I would really, my goal is by the middle of next year to move to Southeast Asia, to be doing this full-time remotely.
Oh, wow.
So what I love about my podcast is I love these video podcasts. What I love about mine is I'm just like, I'm feeling inspired to rip a pod right now. Just pull out the phone.
Yeah.
Just start talking into the microphone.
Yeah.
So I like that I can do that from anywhere versus having to use a camera. And I'm just trying to set myself up for as much impact as possible, man. When I really put down what I want in my life, I always say the same affirmation every single morning. It's, I desire a big life. I desire positive impact and influence. I desire legacy, to be remembered as someone who didn't quit and someone who always told the truth. I desire true financial and locational freedom. Everything I desire is already inside me. So it's like my greatest passion isn't actually weight loss. My greatest passion is just in helping people understand that they have so much more control over their lives than they could ever imagine. But the means to me helping the world see that is through weight loss. So I just relate to people more in that way. But over the course of the next few years, I'd really like to step more into men's work. And eventually I'd like to get more into polarity and masculine feminine dynamics in relationships.
That's great.
But this is definitely where the most immediate positive impact I can have is in helping people that are fat as fuck to have a 10% better relationship with their life and their own body. And I think this is the kind of story that can really change the world.
It's exciting because, I mean, you can really extrapolate and evolve. Like, you don't always have to be in the coaching realm of helping people with obesity or weight loss. Like it can, like you said, it could be the masculine and feminine polarity, which we all have, because some men do not. You know, they think of the word feminine and they're like, that's some pussy shit. You know, like they start to call you, different names, but it's absolutely a thing. Like, you have to open your heart to your daughter if you're a father. Like, you can't just be constantly masculine, but the evolution of, like, that's what is so exciting with this podcast or anything when it comes to digital creativity is there's no limits. And obviously you want to find this flow that feels aligned with your soul, right? But so there might be some limitations there based off of my experience, but yeah, you can really dive into whatever you'd like and create opportunity for being a digital nomad going to Southeast Asia. Where exactly would you want to go if you went there?
I want to start in Bali.
It feels like the hot spot for some Americans.
I've had this weird I had this idea of going to Afghanistan in 2019.
Why?
I don't know. I was just feeling called to it. I really want to live a lifestyle that I look back on and have stories that sound like they're not real, but they are.
Yeah.
So that's why. So Forrest Gump is my favorite movie. I have a silhouette tattoo of a guy on a bench on my wrist.
Oh, cool.
The reason why I love Forrest Gump so much is
too.
because the whole movie is just a guy telling stories
Yeah.
that all sound like bullshit. Every single thing is like, then I became a shrimp billionaire after winning the Medal of Honor and I have autism.
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay, well, like, there's no way that this is true, right? But we know that it is. That's what I plan to emulate. So when I feel called to doing these things that sound like really fucking crazy, like going to Afghanistan, it's like, I just want to have the story that sounds like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And to be able to have that experience that so few people are really having. But things got kind of crazy there the last couple of years. So that's not very plausible right now. But I'd really like to start in Bali and go and see Dubai are the 2 places that are 100% on the list. But just go where it takes me, man.
Yeah, man, there was a few other things I was going to get into. I do have some limitations on time, but we did actually go over a decent amount. A lot of the things that I listed here, just through your beginning narrative and description of your story. But if there was, so right now in the present moment, for anybody that's listening that is struggling, there's a lot of things. They might be overwhelmed with what to do to start. What comes to mind or within your heart to assist that person that might be struggling right now?
Yeah. So why do you want to change is the first thing you need to know an answer to. So in my case, when I was fat as fuck, every year that I lost weight, I just wanted to look better and I just wanted to feel better. But the reality is that wanting to look better and wanting to feel better probably isn't enough to overhaul your entire life permanently.
Mm-hmm.
So I started creating visualizations that were really strong. When I have a kid, I imagine myself looking down at my kid and saying, you can be whatever you want when you're older, son. And I envision him looking up at me, and I'm 400 pounds driving a shitty car with no money. And I got him a mom that wasn't the mom that he deserved. And it's like to start visualizing, why do you really want to change?
Mm.
Not, I want to change for my kids so my kids can have a better parent, but a selfish reason. I want to change so that I can experience what it feels like to be a more energetic parent. Like, make it about you, right?
Yeah.
Identify what you're running towards, and then identify what you're running away from, and write those things down, and then start figuring out how you're going to do it. But if your why isn't strong enough, you're never going to be able to execute on the how.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to look better. I want to feel better. Why do you want to look better? I want to look better so that I can get a girlfriend. Why do you want, I'm speaking to my old self, why do you want to get a girlfriend?
Mm.
I want to get a girlfriend because I'm lonely. Why don't you want to be lonely? Well, because everyone in my family's been divorced, and I want to put myself in the best position to heal this idea of generational divorce, and I don't want to keep passing it. Like, that's a reason that can get you out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look better, won't get you there. So keep asking why.
Yeah.
So you get to a really strong reason, and step into complete common sense. If you're fat as fuck, you don't know where to start. What if you were suddenly a weight loss coach and you had to coach someone else on how to lose weight? What the fuck would you advise them to do? And just simplicity, common sense. When you're in a situation, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to handle this. What would a healthy person do in this situation? If you take one thing away from anything related to weight loss and how it applies to the rest of the world, what would the person that you desire to be do in this situation? And you just do that. You will become the person over time.
Mm.
That's all that it is, right? I'm at McDonald's. What would a healthy person do in this situation? They probably wouldn't be here.
They would leave.
But what if they had to eat here because there were no other options? What would they do?
Just eat the patty.
Right? But it's like, what would a healthy person do? And you just keep doing that, man. It all comes down to visualization. If you don't believe that you have what it takes, if you don't think you have a 0.01% chance of losing weight and keeping it off,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't think you have a 0.01% chance of growing this podcast in any way that you want, then you don't. Right? Like, you have to have some element of belief.
Mm.
So let's work on developing some belief. If you don't have any, you can start with doing the smallest possible step. Take a video of yourself saying, tomorrow morning, I'm waking up 10 minutes earlier. I'm going to go on a 10-minute walk, and then come home and then watch the video. Okay, well, I just went on a 10-minute walk. Could I go on a 10-minute walk again tomorrow? Do that every day for a month. It's not about the calories or about the weight loss. It's about developing a little bit of self-belief that you can carry over into anything. The problem is that we all want results right now. You're not going to get them right now if you don't have self-belief. You got to develop some self-belief first.
Yeah, that's powerful, man.
That's it, man. And that's why weight loss is the ultimate teacher. And that's why the people that lose weight and keep the weight off have the fucking self-belief that is required to do all this other crazy shit that just seems really fucking nuts. But actually the nuts thing was losing the weight and keeping the weight off.
Yeah, and that what really stuck with me is just the muscle of resistance that you build. Like, once you're able to conquer some things that were extremely fearful and developed a lot of internal resistance, and you're able to, like, consistently show up for yourself and say, not today, and like tackling that resistance, and bulking up that courage muscle and that willpower. You can really apply it to everything if you keep working at it. So that's something that stuck with me, and I think just because I'm, it resonates with me a little bit more at this stage of my life. So I think that's it's powerful, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and what would, whatever you're dealing with, food, what would it take for food to be something that made your life better instead of worse? Like, to really visualize a future where, I don't know if this is the case for you, but someone that isn't a severe alcoholic, but is like, my relationship with alcohol is not very good. What would it take for alcohol to be something that was an actual positive contributor to your life when you had it versus something that you maybe overthought? And to just visualize that as a possibility makes it more real. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah. I mean, like, being able to celebrate with your loved one having a glass of wine on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Just one glass of wine. And like, just, yeah, like, like just to crystallize or, share that moment with that person. Yeah, there could be certain, I still think like alcohol and food is different, but also, yeah, the extreme psychological resistance to alcohol and like trying to like control everything. And, it's like, that's not fun either. So you want to be able to just establish like just non-attachment and like a calm and healthy relationship around it. So that's what I envision, like seeing men that are able to just have impulse control and self-awareness and just self-confidence and inner peace. So that's what I look forward to.
It's been a real honor to be on this podcast.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you hosting me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So quickly, I know I asked you like last week, but appreciate your time and what you offer to the world, because a lot of men and women need it. So appreciate you, man.
If you're not following along, you can follow the Shane Larson podcast on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, or any other platform that you're listening on.
YouTube. Yeah,
Please leave us a rating, an honest review. It helps us get this message out to other people that would also benefit.
Yes. All right, brother. I think that concludes it. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Shane.